It's time for another project management quick tip. I call this one consulting guilt. And it sounds intriguing, but let's get into what that is. And I've spent most of my years as a consultant. I started in the mid 90s, so 30 years as a consultant. And early on, when I was getting billed out at a crazy rate, right? Because that's the model is they take you out of college, you're 21, they give you 2 weeks of training, and then they bill you out at $200 an hour as a quote unquote expert. But I felt like if I was going to get billed out at $200 an hour, I had to produce that same amount of value, or at least make people think that I did. And so that pressure made me super aware of what mattered to the client. And I was constantly asking myself, how am I adding value and am I adding enough value? And that's why I call it consulting guilt, because sometimes I'd feel maybe guilty that I wasn't adding the value that they were paying for me. And it's really not about shame. It's about accountability. It's about being intentional and deliberate with trying to add value as much as possible. And so if I take that to today and how we work, I think every employee should think about, well, one, recognize who your customer is, because I believe that every activity in work is a customer relationship. But once you recognize that, would my customer pay for what I just delivered? And that's the concept to think about here. And it really is a mindset shift. And it's moving from activities to value. So, being in a lot of meetings isn't a KPI. It's not a metric. The real one is what changed because of your work. So in your lexicon, and as you're thinking and talking through things, instead of saying, well, how busy am I or what did I do? You should be thinking about how valuable was the hour that I did. Did I make a decision faster? Did I prevent a risk from being realized? Did I move the business or my project closer to its goal? And if the answer is yeah, I set up an email and maybe I went to the get a coffee, then it's probably about $3 on the menu over there on the right, not necessarily the $200 an hour. And so, look, let's make it real. It starts by being aware. What is your value output? Who are your clients? And not just the work that you did. And reframing your updates. Instead of about what you did, you should be talking about the results. What changed because we did something? And when you have a team, you should be asking your team, okay, use this metaphor. What was my $200 an hour moment? Am I adding that value? And you could see sort of a chart on the right. You don't actually have to make a chart, but you should think about that concept of, if I did have a dashboard and I was getting paid, in this case, $400 an hour, I just got a raise. Are we adding that value? And use that guilt as your quality control, so that you're stepping back and thinking about, not from a stressful perspective, but thinking about, am I adding value? And look, you don't need the $400 an hour. You don't need the consulting rate to deliver that consulting value. So the punchline for today is, consulting guilt isn't about feeling bad for your time. It's about making sure that your time is worth being proud of. I don't feel guilty about making this video because I think it was valuable, but put in the comments if you agree. Thanks.